fire! Alright guys,
What's going on, guys? It's the Regular Guy with the Regular Guy Firearms channel, and today we are going over the longevity review of the Norinco Mak90. Now, I've owned this rifle for the last 10 months. In those 10 months, I put about 19,000 rounds through it. Did a lot of different courses. Did a bunch of recreational shooting. This rifle made several appearances in several different videos that I have on this channel. And what's kind of funny is that a lot of people have been asking me about a longevity review on this particular rifle. And my only difficulty with the whole thing is, what do you really say about a rifle that's been utterly reliable? Been an absolute laser, okay? I mean, because if I can lay my eyes on it, I can kill the shit out of it. And it's ultimately been the rifle that I go to every time I need a gun that I definitely know is going to work. It's as simple as that. But then when you start thinking about more of it, you start thinking about, okay, there's a bunch of little issues with this rifle. And we're going to go over those. Especially, these are things that I've noticed over time that have become a little bit of a problem with the rifle. But first thing that we're going to do is we're going to tear the thing apart, and we're pretty much going to do the whole proof of wear thing. So, hold on. Alright, so the rifle's apart, and now that it is apart, we can go ahead and show off a bunch of little things, okay? A lot of little things, like there's a bunch of little dents and dings in it and stuff like that. Okay, simple stuff like the machine cover in it has had the original finish stripped off of it in a bunch of different places. It's been beat on and whatnot. There's little dents in it just from use, being a truck gun, all that good guys shit. You go into the op rod and it starts to show off the wear on the finish a lot more. Just the sheer number of times that the action's been run either manually or because it's in the middle of the firing sequence, all that good jazz. And you start peeling further back and you can see where just a lot of metal on metal contact has occurred in under a year. Scooting up to the bolt, you can see where a lot of that metal-to-metal contact is, even though the bolt itself is a grayish, silvery color. It's not chrome because it doesn't clean off as easily. But it's been pretty heavily used. Okay. Moving on to the insides, or the receiver of the rifle, rather. You can see that the arsenal trigger that was finished black has been beat to absolute hell. Since the second month that I've owned this thing, the freaking magazine catch has had no finish on it, just from the sheer number of reloads. And what's kind of funny too is that this is even a newer magazine. I got this magazine maybe like 5 months ago. Okay, and it's been run through all kinds of hell, actually. You can just see the sheer volume of reloads done with this magazine. How many times it's been dropped and scraped up a little bit, all that good guy stuff. You can look at the tabs and check out all the wear on them too. Even though this isn't really the greatest example of wear and tear, simply because the finish on the Eastern European AK mags is not the best. But the amount of wear on an individual magazine is telling of a couple of things. Now, we're going to reassemble the rifle and we're going to talk about issues I've had with this in the past. Alright, so we are 100% back together now, minus the most important part. So, a couple of issues that I've had with this rifle. Now, as you've seen in the first couple of pictures in this, the rifle shipped like that. So I had to deal with the whole California compliant butthole stock and everything else. What was even more annoying is the fact that this rifle does not ship with a threaded barrel. Okay? Worse than that, the non-threaded barrel that this guy comes with is actually a thinner diameter than the rest of the barrel behind the front sight tower. This barrel actually had to get cut. Good buddy of mine runs a really good shop called Extreme Police Supply down in South Florida. He's got a dude that is masterful with machining and cutting things and whatnot, to where all they pretty much did is pop the pins on this front sight tower, remove it, cut the barrel to the point where the same thickness that you would need to thread a muzzle device on there was present, thread, recrown, and then pin it, because the barrel was no longer 16 inches at that point. So there was that first issue that I had to deal with. The second issue that I have to deal with is that this is a slant cut receiver. Okay, being a slant cut receiver, sorry, I'm trying to maneuver this around the camera, but being a slant cut receiver is exactly what that implies, because instead of this receiver, see, going straight down, it angles off here. Now, that becomes a pain in the ass when you're trying to mount stuff like modernized stocks or even standard stocks in a lot of different cases, because my mind frame at first was, alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and just mount a standard stock on there, a standard AK stock, under Warsaw length, and I'm good to go. Not paying attention to the fact that this is a slant cut receiver. Fucking idiot. So, I basically had to fabricate a stock adapter with a friend of mine so that we could basically get what we needed to attach like an AR buffer tube so that we could mount a short stock on the thing. And honestly, if I didn't have to do any of that, I would have mounted a standard Warsaw length stock in the first place. But having to go through all the trouble, because there are no real adapters out there for Mak90s on the market that don't have like this insane and steep cut, was a mission. Okay, and even still, even though we got this fairly straight, I still had to throw a cheek riser on there so that I could get to an aim point without having my cheek weld turn into a chin weld. So that was kind of a pain in the ass. But other than those two individual issues, the rifle has been stellar. It's been said a million times that Norinco rifles are the best imported AKs that you can buy. I stand by that statement simply because I have the evidence to show you. Okay. Something else that continues to be an absolute favorite of mine on the Norinco guns is the enlarged magazine catch. Okay. Real easy to catch these things with any variety of AK mag that's out there. And there are a bunch of people that are actually taking notice to the enlarged magazine catches. Or locks, release, whatever fucking word you want to use for it. It's the magazine lever thingamathing. There you go. But the Century Arms C39 V1 and 2s are sporting an even larger magazine catch than this one. So people are taking notice to the fact that, you know, it's a convenient thing to have. Okay. You guys can see the freaking Tromix charging handle on here. There's no issue at all with an AK charging handle. There isn't. I just like bigger charging handles. They're easier to get your hands on when you got gloves on and stuff like that. And especially when you're cold. It's easier to have bigger things to manipulate when your hands don't want to work very well. But honestly, there's no real reason to have a Tromix charging handle addition on there. Something to note though. The safeties and the magazine wells on Norinco Mak90s, at least the milled guns anyway, which are far more rare than the stamped guns, are pretty tight. I had to do some filing to make this safety a little more negotiable, and you know, when it was out of the box, basically, it was kind of a pain in the ass to get the safety off. But the magazine well, it being a little bit tighter wasn't a big deal for me. It wasn't anything negative. And personally, I prefer a slightly tighter magazine well rather than an extra loose one. Is there really a reason for it? No. I just like to not have things rattle around as much on my guns when I'm walking around with them. But really, other than that, guys, there's not much else to say. The rifle has just done excellent. I mean, yeah, I've had malfunctions with it in the past or over the last 19,000 rounds, but pretty much all of them were due to magazines that I'm wearing out, or magazine springs that I wore out, or I would just dent the side body, or the side of the magazine bodies, and basically screwing up the ability for the springs to compress and decompress properly. Other than that, I think there was like one legit malfunction where it was on a brand new magazine. It was pretty lubed up. I don't really, to this day, I don't understand what the problem was. I don't know what happened, but I ran the action, chambered a new round, and it ran like a top. So I'm not concerned. Neither should you. But all that being said, guys, remember, a regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny, and be easy.